Welcome back to the Daily Drop. Look, a major debate has emerged in the blockchain community. Do you believe that Web3 companies have the right to privacy?
They certainly do. And actually, I think what we're talking about in many cases here is that these aren't necessarily even companies. They're basically autonomous software. So there's not someone that is currently managing them. There's not somebody that can see inside the books. Everything is, in fact, completely transparent and on a public ledger. So the reason that Web3 exists in the first place is that the traditional internet was not designed to preserve privacy in the way that you and I think about it. In our day to day lives offline, we have the ability to close our doors, put our shutters across the windows, and we have privacy. It exists in our lives. The internet and even modern telecom, in most cases, does not really have this. And that's a gigantic flaw. That's why Web3 was created in the first place. It's meant to be a system that allows an individual to do what it is that they want to do without having scrutiny. And this is possibly something that's dangerous, but it's also something that we desperately need because the internet never really came to actually satisfy that need. That's why this whole industry has been created.
So you said something very interesting. You differentiated very clearly between the code and companies. Can you tell me why that's so significant?
So with a blockchain system like this, we're talking about the Ethereum blockchain in particular, there is a decentralized network of computers that are running code, and they all run that code in a completely trustless fashion. So no one here is in charge of Tornado Cash. No one is designing a system where somebody's going to log into Tornado Cash, make an account, send money to some company somewhere with a wire transfer. This system runs autonomously, which means that Tornado Cash is a piece of code that was written quite a while ago, actually, multiple years, and is just sitting there out in the open world and just doing its job. And the people that interact with Tornado Cash can use it in any fashion they like. But that doesn't mean that Tornado Cash itself or the people who contribute to that code base are meaning to do anything nefarious with it themselves. This is entirely outside of their control at this point. And so to sanction these people is effectively to blame them for something that someone else did using a technology that they provided basically for free.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the privacy of citizens. So we see regulations around the world. They appear to be targeting the privacy of citizens. Do you think it's justifiable to target identity in the blockchain space at all?
Well, and you have to kind of step back from that to understand that like authoritarianism around the world is rising much faster than it ever has been. Since the beginning of the internet, we've mostly been in a pretty peaceful part of history. And as this part of history is kind of eroding, we're starting to see more and more journalists being prosecuted. I mean, in multiple countries around the world, we live in a very civilized place out here in Canada and North America, but there is a gigantic need for technology that allows people to protect themselves. And this technology doesn't have an owner. That's the entire point of these things. So the reason that we've created autonomous code is because we need autonomous code in certain cases. And to prosecute anyone that ever touches it or anyone that helps to create it seems to be sort of a slap on the wrist intended to discourage that kind of behavior without even fully understanding why it was done in the first place. And it's absolutely necessary that our internet evolves in this way. That's why Web3 will come after Web2. That's why it's quickly becoming the only thing that software developers want to work on.
Look, I don't know if you are a lawyer or you went to law school, or you're an excellent debater. But okay, like I have a more provocative question for you, though, right? Because many rug pulls and scams, have been perpetrated by anonymous and pseudonymous entities in the blockchain space. I mean, we can agree on that. But do you think that restricting privacy could make the blockchain space safer?
I don't necessarily agree with that. In fact, actually, a lot of the things in blockchain, especially even Bitcoin, were created pseudonymously. And so there's really not actually ever been a situation where a rug pull happened because of someone who pseudonymously created something or did it without having their name attached to it. When a rug pull typically happens, it happens because someone didn't look at the code base and the autonomous code that was deployed had a backdoor in it that allowed somebody to drain the funds. Or what someone's done is to create some kind of an investment scam, which usually they take advantage of people who don't have enough information. So in the past, I actually started a company in Chicago called We Teach Blockchain, where we taught seminars on how to use these technologies in a safe and reliable way. And if somebody comes into this ecosystem and knows how to properly approach things and has access to the right information, there is very little risk that any pseudonymous entity has any more control over you than any individual on the street would, because it's about making your own decisions and being safe in that way. So the idea that privacy somehow protects the end user in these systems is, or a lack of privacy rather, protects the end user is almost laughable.
So, okay, look, we only have 30 seconds. I don't want to ask you a long question because I know you're going to have a brilliant response. So I'm going to get to that after the break. But do you think that it's more important to target the code than the people? Is that what you're saying?
The absolute opposite. So the code itself is autonomous and has no malice. The people using that code may have some potential issues. They might be using it nefariously. But if they are doing so, if they are laundering money, there will be another paper trail.
Let's get into this more, because I want to understand this more. We're going to break on the Daily Drop.